Thank you. Does everybody get that message? Just to advise that the meeting is being recorded. So now it is past the appointed time, and although we have not yet reached a quorum, we will proceed with the initial stages of the meeting. Please note the rules that were up on the screen beforehand, and just a reminder to keep your microphone muted unless you are specifically asked to speak. Use the raise hand function should you want to address the meeting. We will endeavour to monitor the raise hands. It might be a little bit difficult with the number of people that we have, but somebody will keep an eye on that. And by all means, utilise the chat function, but again, because of the number of people, we may not always manage to catch that. So if all else fails, butt in. Probably not supposed to say that, but there you go. So welcome everybody, and thank you for attending. My name is David Turner. I'm privileged to be the chair of Nata, and I thank you for all your participation and attendance, and we shall proceed with the meeting. So in attendance today, we have my fellow directors. So Dr. Sanne-Marie Schlebusch is the Vice Chair, Chief Medical and Genomics Microbiologist at Queensland Health. We have Mrs. Agnes Tan, whose term on the board will conclude at this AGM, and she's been chair of the Audit and Risk and Compliance Committee. Tracy Farrer, I don't believe she's actually signed in as yet, but Tracy is on our board. Mr. Eric Swain is Chief Executive Officer at the National South Australia and Northern Territory and National Procurement Manager with the Australian Clinical Labs. And Dr. Mark Burgess, Director of Infrastructure and Technologies at CSIRO. Eric is the chair of the Nominations Committee, and both Dr. Mark Burgess and Tracy Farrer are members of that Nominations Committee. We also have here today our external auditor, Mr. Russell McGree from Stuart Brown, Chartered Accountants, and he will be able to answer any questions that people might have with regards to our financial accounts for the year ending 30th of June 2021. We also have some members of the NATA's executive team. So we have Jennifer Evans, our CEO, Tony Vandenberg is the General Manager, Governance and Compliance, and is also Company Secretary. John Stasinski, General Manager, Operations and Technical. Sue Harry, General Manager, Stakeholder Relations. Rob Passon is the General Manager, Information, Communications and Technology. Melinda Sims, General Manager, Business Services. New to our executive team this year, replacing Eric Lowe, who some of you may know. Daniel Dicker, Technical Manager, and Nirvana Chillingaran, our Operations Manager. And we also have, because it's being done by Zoom, it gives the opportunity for numbers of NATA staff to also be present. And to you, the members, who the meeting is for and is all about, thank you for your attendance. So before we do start, is there any item that people may wish to raise under other business? Okay, so I don't see any responses to that, so we will take the agenda as read. I'm just noticing that there is a little bit of some chat questions there. So, Jill, are you happy with what you wanted to be explained?
Yes, thank you.
You're right, thank you. Okay, I think that's all that's on there at the moment. Thank you. So moving to the, I believe that you all would have received a copy of the minutes or the agenda, and the first item in a sense of which is looking at any apologies that people might have received. We do have some formal apologies which will appear in the minutes. Do we have any other members aware of any other formal apologies that that might have been transmitted through yourselves for our recording? Okay, if not. So the minutes of our meeting, which again was held by Zoom last year, 14th of October 2020, at which time we were hoping that this meeting would not have been a Zoom meeting, but here we are once again. So again, these minutes have been circulated and I will take them as read, and unless there is any objections, we will accept those minutes. So is anybody like to have any questions raised or have any issues with the minutes of our previous meeting? Thank you very much. We'll take those meetings as accepted, confirmed. Look, it's been my unexpected privilege to have finished up as chair of Nata for this past year. And we've been particularly proud as a board that Nata as a business has adapted with innovation, determination and a desire to achieve results, despite the challenges that have been presented to our organisation this year and indeed the world at large over this last 12 months. This year has also seen the successful end of our previous 3-year strategic plan, and following an extensive review process with the board, management and staff, we are in the process of implementing a new plan to develop and enhance our members' experience and to create new growth opportunities for Nata. That process used an external facilitator, which was extremely helpful to us in terms of developing a new 5-year strategic plan. So on behalf of the board, we're also grateful to the management team for a productive and harmonious relationships, which is critical for good governance and for organisational effectiveness. It should also be noted that this period of time has been unlike any other in our 75-year history. So I commend all Nata staff for their dedication, but equally to our members who rapidly adapted to an essentially two-dimensional environment while still providing key services to the Australian community in crucial areas, including COVID-related testing. And so Jennifer Evans, our CEO, is able to expand a little bit more on the processes that we've had and the results for the year. So Jennifer, your report, please.
Thanks, David. Bear with me while I share my screen. And is that not? Sorry. This is what happens. Okay. There we go. Okay, thanks again, David. And good morning, everybody. And thank you for your time today.
Sorry, Jenny, I think we're seeing the wrong thing. I think we're seeing your file.
Oh, I can see it.
I think we're seeing all your files.
Oh, okay, sorry, apologies. I thought I was showing, can you see it now?
Did.
No?
Nothing at the moment.
Oh, let me go back. Share screen. This is... Wait. Okay. Let's try again. Can you see that?
Correct.
Just not in presenter mode.
Yep. Thank you. Sorry about that. I had it all ready to rock and roll. I told you I was a klutz at this. Okay, I'll start again. Thank you. Thank you for your time today. And it is in fact good afternoon, not good morning. So my presentation today is going to cover Nata's key achievements for the financial year 2020-2021. And as David alluded to, I'm going to give you some highlights for the year ahead, for our current year. COVID-19 continued to have a significant impact on our work. However, we continued to provide accreditation services. We provided them on site. Most of our accreditation activities were provided remotely. And during the year, we had developed a hybrid assessment model, which was a combination of some members of the assessment team on site and some joining the team virtually. We adapted our processes based on our experience and feedback from our staff, from our accredited facilities, and of course from our technical assessors. We recognised that there were ongoing challenges to everybody involved in this process. It was particularly difficult when restrictions were imposed at short notice. And so I would like to take the opportunity to thank our members and our technical assessors for their ongoing support, their resilience and their patience. Nata recognises and is very grateful for the collegiate and collaborative approach in getting assessments done in spite of all of the difficulties. The transition to virtual assessments will indeed provide us opportunities into the future, but it will not in the main replace on-site and face-to-face assessments. The overwhelming feedback that we are receiving is to resume face-to-face on-site assessments as soon as that is feasible. Our offices remained open unless we were prevented from doing so by government restrictions. For the second year in a row, we did not impose a fee increase on our members, and we continued to prioritise accreditation of testing, supporting the pandemic response. Now that was largely, but not solely, in HP, and that related to accreditation for SARS-CoV-2 testing. And we continued our policy of providing free of charge scope extensions to those laboratories with an existing competency. We continued our virtual training. We also continued virtual meetings with stakeholders and AACs. And toward the end of the year, we commenced engagement with IATA, with airlines, with Border Force and with Home Affairs, specifically to explain accreditation and how it could support travel once it resumed. We have, in the past 12 months, undergone some significant organisational changes. Now, these have largely been driven by the planning for and development of our new 3-year strategic plan, which came into effect on the 1st of July. The most significant change was a restructuring to our operations team. We discontinued the accreditation manager position and established 5 accreditation team leaders. We renamed our client coordinators as accreditation specialist, and we introduced a new senior position in the team, a principal accreditation specialist. During the year, we also established a new position called an accreditation coordinator. This position is an in-office position to provide support, not just administration support, some technical support to our accreditation specialists. We established 2 new deputy sector managers, one in calibration and one in inspection. So that means that all of our sectors now have at least 1 deputy sector manager supporting the sector manager. We established a new position, a client engagement manager position, with the specific function of focusing on client engagement activities. And that our client engagement manager is Darina Ross, who will be known to many of you. Darina is based in our Brisbane office. We appointed a new risk and compliance manager. That is also a new position. That is Matthew Watton, who also may be known to some of you. Matthew has worked previously in our HP area and our forensic area. That position is focused on bringing together a number of risk and compliance policies and procedures. And also he is tasked with making some significant changes to our operational procedures to reduce the number of in-process reviews that we do, which basically hold up our processes, introduce delays into our process. Matthew's been charged with looking to see whether we can take more risk-based retrospective reviews rather than in-process reviews. Now, all of these changes, together with some process changes, I've just alluded to one of them, are aimed at improvements. We want to improve our service delivery, improving our client focus and our responsiveness. The changes will also enhance our succession planning, provide a better career structure at Nata for our staff, and provide better opportunities for supporting our staff, mentoring our staff, and recognition and the recognition of our staff. We've also made some other key appointments. We've significantly elevated the status of our training services group. We've appointed a specific training manager, Naomi Aitken. Naomi comes to us with a vast amount of experience in this space, and Naomi has been tasked with reinvigorating our training services group, reviewing, refreshing our current courses, and developing new training offerings. We have also made a significant change to Nata to improve our capability in marketing and communications. We now have a marketing and communications team headed by Brendan Moo, another terrific appointment. Brendan appointed as our head of marketing and communications, supported by a marketing manager, Brendan Dunphy, and the Brendans are in the process of recruiting their team members. So that we will bring a lot of our marketing and communications in-house. However, we are still relying on a media consultant that we have engaged, Liam Fitzpatrick, Liam Fitzgerald, who's joined our meeting today. Sorry, I've got the wrong Liam. We also, through the year, have had a continuing focus on staff development, and in March and April of this year, engaged a consultant to deliver client engagement training to everyone at Nata, not just our lead assessors, also our administration and support staff, such as IT and finance and so forth. We launched our Nata website, our new Nata website. This year, it has improved facility search capability. It has a new look, and we've obviously updated the information. Now, I've said there phase 2 coming, but with the uplift in our capability, it's not about phase 2, it's about a capability now to continually update and improve our website, which is fantastic. So it won't be phase 2 coming, it will be ongoing, refreshing, renewing and improving our website. And during the year, we also launched our new portal for members and technical assessors. In relation to accreditation activities, our re-engineered human pathology accreditation program was launched in February 2021. We are currently seeking feedback from laboratories on their experience with the new approach. We signed or re-signed some agreements. These are important to us because they signify the importance of Nata to government departments. Our deed of agreement, which had previously been just with Services Australia for our HP program, has been re-signed as a tripartite deed with the Commonwealth Department of Health and Services Australia, and that is around the delivery of our human pathology program in support of Medicare regulation. We have re-signed MOUs with SA Health, that is for human pathology and public health, and also re-signed 2 MOUs with Transport for New South Wales and Transport for Victoria around the provision of information and collaboration in relation to road construction. There are 2 ISO standards under revision that are relevant to us, to our members. ISO 15189, which is the human pathology standard, and ISO IEC 17043, which underpins our proficiency testing providers program. Nata has active participation in both of those committees. We represent Standards Australia to ISO. When the draft international standards are published later this year, we will be seeking a member comment, and we will feed that member comment back through our representatives, Andy Griffin and Paul McMullen. We established a new accreditation program during the year, biobanking. We launched it late in the financial year. There is a standard ISO 20387. That standard is at the same level as standards such as 17025 and 15189, so at the same level in the standards hierarchy. It requires its own discrete accreditation program. We conducted our first assessment and we are hopeful that we are just a few weeks away from our first accreditation in biobanking. The other activity that we feel is important for members is that we commenced a project late in the year to investigate measures or tools that Nata can provide to our accredited facilities to support user confidence in the authenticity of reports. Now, we're working at the moment with one particular member who's providing us a lot of support. We're also working with vendors to look at what type of measures are feasible for different types of scenarios. One cab is not the same as another cab, so we need to look at what is feasible. The type of measures that we are looking at are digital badging or QR codes. That's the type of measure we're looking at being able to provide to our accredited facilities so that they can provide their users confidence in the integrity of reports. In terms of financial and operational performance, we performed much better than we had budgeted for, much better than we anticipated in terms of our finances. As you might expect, budgeting last year was a challenge. We had really no certainty about what would be possible, what would be feasible, and how the year was going to play out. We were hopeful for a return to business as usual for at least a part of the year, but as it transpired, that was not to be. And so we ended the year with a much better profit than had been budgeted for. In terms of operational performance, there were no significant change to the number of accredited facilities. Our growth, as I've reported before, has been stagnant now for probably the last 10 years. But our Charter of Service performance was good. We reached our target of 90%, That's our overarching target for the combination of 10 service standards. There were 3 service standards which did not perform to target. The conduct of an initial assessment, the conduct of a scope extension, and the granting of accreditation. And although the granting of accreditation has improved, our performance has improved since last year, those 3 service standards are the ones that are most significantly affected by COVID. We should see, as we return to business as usual, we should see those improve over the coming months. So to the year ahead, 2021-2022 marks the start of a new 3-year strategic plan David mentioned in his introduction. As part of that plan, we have identified 4 strategic projects. The first is to develop a streamlined, customer-focused assessment approach. We want to leverage off the experience of the re-engineered human pathology program and roll out the concepts across all of Nata's programs. This, we will hope to develop or to establish efficiencies to treat organisations much better and treat them in the way they see themselves, rather than as individual sites where we replicate a lot of activities that don't provide useful information either to you as a member or to us as an accreditation body. As I mentioned, we have had no substantial growth in accreditations over the last 10 years. So we need to explore, to have a really good look at what we can do to drive growth, whether that be in accreditations in our traditional areas, whether that be new conformity assessment activities, or whether that be new activities in general, perhaps auditing activities, for example, that don't compromise what we do, but where there's a need for some form of auditing or assessment. I mentioned our marketing and comms team. This is in response to our initiative to significantly lift Nata's visibility and messaging. And this is not just about Nata. This should have a flow-on effect to our members. If we lift Nata's visibility, drive a need for Nata accreditation, that is going to drive business for our members. So lifting visibility and messaging for Nata, we would anticipate having a flow-on effect to our members. And the 4th of the significant projects as part of our strategic plan relates to our staff. It is a focus on our staff to equip them to provide accreditation that benefits members and the community. During the year, we want to reinvigorate or reactivate a project that unfortunately fell into abeyance and stalled due to some personnel changes and then to COVID, and that's our technical assessor project. We want to ensure that our technical assessors are engaged with Nata as much as possible, and that we provide them with the recognition that they deserve. Some years ago, Nata did a study with UTS entitled The Economic Value of Nata Accreditation. And that study found that Nata's volunteers contributed something around $14 million to Nata annually. Now that's a significant financial impact. The report also highlighted that our technical assessors, and indeed our volunteers generally, provided significant non-economic value to Nata and to our members. So we need to ensure that we have a focus on our TAs, to nurture them, and as I said, to recognise them. So that is a significant body of work that we will reactivate in this financial year. I mentioned Naomi Aitken, our new training manager. Naomi's been given free rein to focus on our training services. We think that both our commercial training services and the training that we provide to our members, the webinars and so forth, can be reinvigorated, as I mentioned, and Naomi has taken that on with gusto. And last but not least, in 2022, Nata celebrates its 75th anniversary. So there is a significant program of events that will go throughout the year, starting with our birthday celebration in February of next year. But we have a program of events planned for the entire year around the country. So in conclusion, I would like to thank David Turner as the board chair and the board for their continuing support for our initiatives. I'd like to thank my wonderful executive management team who provide great support, great advice to me, and indeed all Nata staff this year. It's been another challenging year. I won't use the word unprecedented, but it has been another challenging year. I do appreciate their dedication and their resilience. And thank you very much for coming today. And that's the end of my presentation.
Thanks, Jennifer. It certainly has been an extremely interesting year, and the things that have been achieved, both by Nata itself and by the members, has been extraordinary. And so it's a good example of what we are able to do when circumstances arise. We're typically Aussies, aren't we? We can always arise to a situation, and Nata has done that. So let me give you the opportunity to ask any questions that you might like clarified or expanded on with Jennifer. Not sure that I can see any hands raised. So if there are no questions, so thanks, Jennifer. That was a great summary of where things are currently at. And it certainly has been a very interesting year, and I have been privileged to actually have been part of what's actually happening. It's been a very interesting year. So in terms of the constitution and the membership of the board, you've recently voted, and the board now welcomes Giacomo Colica from Emissions Assessments Proprietary Limited. And as the newly appointed director, unfortunately, he was tied up with clients today and has tendered his apology, but we certainly welcome him, and thank you to those who who are interested enough to apply for board positions with Nata. We also, or I'm thankful for the reappointment of the current chair, vice chair, Sanne-Marie Schlebusch. So congratulations. And thank you, members, for endorsing the board's selection for that position. Sanne-Marie is in a very important position with regards to her influence in the COVID-19 machinations, certainly within Queensland, and she's able to provide excellent information to us as a board and to Nata itself. So thank you, Sanne-Marie. As I mentioned before, Agnes Tan has been a director since 2018, Nata assessor for as long as one can remember. Goes back quite a lot in history with Nata. There's not too many that have had more than 35 years experience as an assessor, but there could be some sitting there on Zoom today who have similarly given tirelessly for their efforts in the assessment area. So thank you, Agnes, for your contribution for this past year as Chair of the Audit, Risk and Compliance Committee, and we wish you all the very best in the future. Enjoy the grandkids.
Thanks, David.
Also, Dr. Laurie Bott recently resigned from the board because he was appointed President of the Royal College of Pathologists of Australia. So Laurie has provided some extremely valuable contributions as given his linkages with the RCPA. He was on their board and he has now relinquished that position. So just wanted to record our thanks for his contributions over the time that he has actually been with us on the board. The board's nomination subcommittee will be convening a meeting in the coming weeks to consider co-opting a replacement for Dr. Bott in accordance with the Constitution. So that then moves us towards the financial reports. So the 2021 annual report for the Nata Group and the auditor's report are on the Nata website. Were they circulated with the papers? You're on mute, Michelle.
The link to the annual report, which had those in them, was circulated yesterday.
Okay. So before we actually ask for the annual financial report to be accepted, I'd just like to give people the opportunity for any questions that either myself or management or our external auditor, Mr. Russell McGree, might like to provide some answers to you as members. So do we have any questions relating to our financial performance or the annual report itself? Okay, thank you very much. Russell, did you want to just provide a reassuring comment to the members in terms of your perspective as the external auditor?
Oh, yeah. Yes, so normally we just adopt the report unless there's any queries on it. But overall, like the overriding comment about finances are Nata's in a very sound financial position. It's got plenty of solvency, plenty of liquidity, and I think that's going to allow it to pursue its objectives over the next 3 to 5 years quite comfortably. And as you say, there's been no fee increase for the last couple of years, so it's what Nata always strives to do is get the balance right between the members' interest in terms of annual fee increases and keeping enough in reserve to pursue its objectives over the next 3 to 5 years. I think it's getting that balance right. Certainly very well managed from the top down through to the finance team. Highly organised, always ready for the audit, and really a very clean audit. Our audit report's what they call an unqualified audit report, which means it's a clean audit report. So from our point of view, we're very, very happy with our interaction with Nata, the cooperation we receive, and really the general tenor of Nata. It's a first-class operation from the top down, and it shows really from the board through to the CEO and down through the finance team. It's a fantastic organisation to deal with.
Thank you, Russell. So if we have no additional questions there, let me formally move that the 2021 annual financial report be accepted. If I have, perhaps if you put up your hand if you object to our financial report, otherwise I will declare that resolution has been accepted. Which just nominally completes our official business, unless there is anything else that has come to mind that people may like to raise as a general question or an item of general business. And that not being the case, again, I'd like to thank everybody for their participation and wish you a highly successful year for 21-22, and trust that this time next year we might possibly be able to formally meet together face to face and have much more time for informal chatting and talking. So again, thank you everybody. All the very best. You may leave.
Thank you, David.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
David.
Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, David.
Thank you, David.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.